Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to continue with the blower installation by installing the LSA Concepts race drive. A few other things I did since last video. I went and hooked up the brake booster vacuum line, as well as I got a heater hose for that one in the back that was hitting the blower. Now for the booster hose, I'm actually using a stock ZL1 brake booster hose. The ZL1 side is a 1/2-inch hose, and then I went and stepped it down with a little adapter here to the 3/8 3rd gen size. For the heater hose in the back, I went and picked up a long Gates heater hose with a 90-degree bend on the end, and you can see there, right where it connects to the firewall, there's a 90 molded into the hose, and that clears the back of the blower. It's a little tight on the other side still. It's just touching the blower. I mean, if I pull them off, they won't be rubbing anymore. So I'm gonna see if I could get like one of those band clamps and just wrap it around here, and I could screw it into the side of the evaporator just to pull them over. But for now, I just put some friction tape around it just to prevent any kind of chafing from happening. Then I also got my new throttle cable in. We're gonna be installing that, as well as wiring in the 3-bar map. I just got that pigtail there, and I'm going to cut the 2-bar connector off, run it around the back, and just solder it to the new connection. All right, so let's take a look at the blower drive. Now this is a race drive from LSA Concepts, meaning the actual tensioner for the blower is fully adjustable, so you're not just relying on like a spring tensioner like the factory setup. So you will be able to adjust for any difference in like belt size. You're gonna be able to really tension that down, as opposed to like a regular spring tensioner. Pretty much whatever the spring is set to is what you're gonna get. You're really gonna have to try to go with a short belt and really squeeze it on there if you want to get more tension out of it. But the kit comes with a belt tension gauge, and it comes with a tape measure, so you could go and measure for a belt. The kit doesn't come with a belt because there's just too many variations on what size you're going to need. There's a little chart in the back of the booklet that has all the part numbers depending on which size your belt turns out to be. Getting started on the installation, first step, it looks like we're going to be installing this stud over here into the actual water pump, and then after that we're going to put the backing plate for the pulleys onto the water pump as well. You can see it has this plate, and then there's this spacer that goes behind that actually goes to the water pump, I guess, to space it out. But one thing they noted here is the pulley position. Now they have an upper and a lower slot in this front bracket for the pulley, and that is pretty much, if you're running an overdrive pulley, you're going to be mounting your pulley in the top slot. If you have a stock size pulley, it's going in the lower slot. Alright, so I ran into a little problem. Trying to get this front bracket on, the spacer in the back, I can't get both of these bolts to go in. I could get one in, but then the other one doesn't go in. And after playing with it for a while, I took the front of the bracket off and just put the block on here, and I got them to go in. They go in a little bit tight, but they do go in all the way down. So I think the problem is with the front bracket here. What I decided I'm going to do, I'm just going to drill out these holes a tiny bit, just because I think they're too close together. So once it's going through this, the bolts are kind of just going off sideways a little bit. So once you get one lined up, the other one just doesn't, because if I put one in and I try to put the other one in, it doesn't even like start to get into the threads. It's off by a lot. So I'm just going to open these two up a little bit. It shouldn't affect the mounting of it, because you can see they have this bevel. So once that's sitting in there, it's not going to matter how big the back hole is, because the head of the bolt is going to be countersunk, and that's going to keep this from wiggling. So I'm going to drill this out quick, and I'll see if I get it on. All right, so I went and put this on the drill press, and I just opened these up one step with my Christmas tree bit, just to make them a little bit wider. And then this is going to allow a little bit of movement going through this plate, so it should let me get all the bolts lined up going through the water pump. Oh, also, just a tip, The first step after putting that stud on, you have to pass these bolts through. I went with the top slot, being I am running a smaller pulley, and then this other one goes here. But this is a real pain in the ass trying to get this on here. These bolts keep falling out, so I just put a little electrical tape around here, and that's going to keep them from falling out while you're installing them. Alright, so with the backplate installed, next step is going to be installing the pulleys. Now they give you this little stud here. This is what's going to be holding on the ribbed pulley, and they tell you in the instructions to use these nuts they give you as a driver, so just kind of put them on the end as you would do with like an exhaust stud, and then that's going to allow you to screw that guy in right there. Alright, and just like that, the installation is pretty much complete. According to the instructions, these bolts here, they give you these three kind of like steel flange nuts. These are for when you're mocking it up, so I guess you're putting the belt on with this off, and then you're going to put this cover on after the belt's on. So these just come on and off of here really easy, and then for final installation, they give you these lock nuts, which are going to be going on there. And for the actual tensioner, they have this little arm here that goes through with this pin, and then if you can see, you put your half-inch wrench on here, and as you pull this, it slides the pulley over, and that's what puts tension on the belt. Alright, so with everything installed, I'm ready to measure for my belt. I'm using the tailor's tape they provide. This is what our final belt routing is going to be. So I just went and taped the tape to the upper pulley here. Now I'm just going to route this under as if I was running my belt. Now, when the belt's going on, this this bracket's going to be off, just because obviously your belt isn't going to be cut in half like the tape measure is. But routing this, we're going to go, I'm going to just fish it in here over the tensioner, make sure it stays flat. Okay, we're on the crank. And then we're wrapping over the ribbed one and then going underneath the other idler and around and back up. But it looks like we are right at 52 inches here. Now we're going to go over to the instructions and see what they say about that. All right, well, one thing to note in here, with whatever measurement you get on your belt, you're going to want to multiply that by 1.008 inches, and that is going to make up for the belt thickness. So right now we have 52 inches, so that's going to be 52 times 1.008. All right, so we got 52.4, basically 52.5 inches. All right, well, it says here belt length should always be a ½ inch larger than the measurement to allow easy installation. So it looks like I'm going to be looking for a 53-inch belt. 2.5, 53. So it looks like I'm going to have to go pick up a 408 0530 belt. So I'm going to go order that belt. In the meantime, while we're waiting for it to arrive, let's get started on installing the throttle cable. All right, so my old throttle cable is out. And the way I hooked this up, it's been this way since I first did the swap. I just took the stock 3rd gen throttle cable, cut it out of the actual like firewall insert, and then I just drilled it through so I could fish my new cable through. So all I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna unscrew this, slide it out of the sleeve here, and we'll install the new one. I got a 60-inch low car cable, but the way I'm gonna do this is the part on the end here that actually connects to the pedal. I'm pretty sure this is the factory 3rd gen clip, and when I did this the first time, I have this little piece on the end here that clamps on. This is what keeps the cable clipped onto the throttle body. So I basically just cut this end off. I fished the whole cable out of the sleeve, and then I just slipped this over the cable before I went and put the end on. All right, so I got my cable made. I just took the firewall pass-through piece off of the old cable, threaded this through. Then the other end, this clamp's just gonna be going back on. once the cable's installed and cut to length. So let's go put this in the car. I'll show you how it connects to the gas pedal, and then we'll see if we need to trim it down. Here's the top of the 3rd gen pedal. Here is our low car cable with the little 3rd gen clip. All you're gonna do is slip that over, put the cable through the slot, pop that in, and that's it. Your cable is connected to your 3rd gen pedal. All right, so I'm definitely gonna have to cut the cable down. It's a little long, but I think I'm just going to try to tie it down to these studs here that look like for the engine cover. I'll just leave a little slack in the back there, tie it down there. I could probably get like a clip or something in here to secure it, but from there it'll just come over the fuel rail and just pretty much connect there. So I got the cable ran and hooked up to the bracket. I didn't tie it down yet, but I left enough slack so I could position it the way I want it. Just kind of pull on the pedal a little bit, make sure that there's it's not binding up or anything like that. Now, thing to know, when you're pulling on this, the cable's connected to the top of the pedal. So if you're pulling on this cable, you might think that you're pulling the gas pedal to the floor, but you're actually pulling it away from the floor, being you're pulling at the top of the pedal. So to set this, what I do, I back it pretty much all the way off. That's going to allow you to a little wiggle room in case you ever have to cut this down a little more. You can always bring the cable forward and you'll have some cable left over. So what I like to do is pull this tight so your pedal is pretty much all the way up, and then just run it through the throttle body and where you want it to go. And then right there is where I'm going to put my little clamp on, and then I'll clip off the excess. So I got the cable end on there. I didn't cut it down yet because I'm not sure in case I have to make any more adjustments. But right now I'm just going to go and tie down the cable here, because as I'm stepping on it, it's kind of like pulling up. So I'm going to get this all secured, and then I'm going to go test the gas pedal, make sure nothing's bonding up, make sure I have wide open throttle, and that it returns all the way. And then if everything's good to go, I'll be able to snip off the excess. All right, cable's tightened down. I cut the excess off. So what you're going to want to look for when you pull the cable, you want to hit, you want to make sure you're going to hit the throttle stop. And that's going to ensure you get wide open throttle. So I'm going to go in the car, we'll hit the pedal. You can see. But as you can see, everything's working great. I am getting a tiny bit of noise from the cable. I think I'm just going to spray a little lube in here, because at the end where I cut it, it was pressed down a little bit. I should have straightened it out before I put the cable through, but it's probably just getting pulled on that edge. With normal use, I'm sure it's going to wear down and the noise will go away. But just make sure there are no, bends or kinks in the cable, anything that's going to cause it to bind up. All right, guys, so it is the next day, and I just finished the throttle cable. Now, where I left off, I got everything hooked up, but when I was hitting the pedal, there was like a really kind of scratchy, like rubbing noise inside the car coming through the gas pedal. I found out the way that this was mounted before with the little holly bracket, it was pretty much a little bit off center where it's supposed to connect to the throttle body, so the cable was sitting like that. And in turn, whenever I was hitting the pedal, this was just slipping off to the side and making this awful noise that was just going through the car. So to remedy that, I had to take off the piece that goes with the throttle cable bracket itself, and I ended up just making my own thing. I took a piece of steel, bent it at a 90 degree, and then put a little support piece at the bottom, welded it all up, and cut a notch. And what that allowed me to do, by not having the bolt sticking out here and just welding it directly to this, I was able to slide the nut further over and center it on the throttle body. You can see there's no more noise, and the cable is moving nice and smoothly. So that's pretty much finished. As for securing it, I ended up using one of the studs for the fuel rail back there with one of these little rubber hold downs. And then for the front, I'm probably going to, I could pull some slack out of this. I just like kind of zipped it down right now, but I could pull it a little forward, and I'm either going to secure it to that one or put another one right through here. But the throttle cable's finished, and I have my blower belt. So we're going to get to installing this in a second. But what I'm currently working on is extending the map sensor. Now I just went in here, I cut the connector off and soldered in some extension wires, same gauge wire, soldered heat shrinked, extended them maybe a foot, and that's going to allow me to reach the map sensor on the other side. The other thing I did was I removed the 3-bar and I just kind of like rigged my old 2-bar in here. Just I flipped it, I put an O-ring on it, flipped it, and then just put a washer in here just to hold it down. It's in there pretty tight. This isn't staying this way. My intention is just to run this while I'm driving the thing, like letting it idle, checking for vacuum leaks, and driving it on the trailer, just because it's probably going to run really bad with a 3-bar, being it's not tuned for it yet. So this is going to be temporary. Then once I get to the tuner, I'll just put my 3-bar in. But one more thing I decided to change, well, not really change, but do in preparation of actually bringing it to the tuner. I'm going to pull these injectors out just because I had 28s in there. These are 80s. Running this really any period of time isn't a good idea. It's going to be dumping a lot of fuel. I got a set of Delphi truck injectors from a buddy. Now these are like 2003 Suburban injectors. They are 28-pound injectors, the exact size that were in my car and what the PCM is currently tuned for. And I did pull the rail out before and just popped one of these guys in, and they do actually fit. They're about half an inch taller than the LS3 style injector. All I had to do, I took the little the plastic tip off the injector where it sits in the truck intake, took the O-ring off the LSA style injector, put it on here. That fit in there nice and snug, and the rail just clears it. The only thing is I'll have to put some washers underneath the mounting point, being they are a little bit taller, just so I can secure them. And I'm also going to have to put some washers under the lid bolts, just these 3 bolts here that go along the rail on both sides, because with those injectors in here, this rail is almost touching the blower up here, and it's touching the little bottom nub of the lid bolt sticking out. So I'm just going to put some washers under here just to bring that up, some washers under here, and then that's going to be it. I went on eBay, I found a set of LS1 harness to Delphi truck injector adapters for like 20 bucks. I'm going to pick them up. I'll be able to plug my harness into these injectors without an issue, and that's going to be way safer than running the car with the 80 pounds. Then, just like the map sensor, once I get to the tuner, I'll go pull the injectors out and put the 80s back in. All right, so I got my map sensor all temporarily wired in. That's ready to go. And I just finished up the fuel system. So what I ended up doing, I have my feed coming off of the hard line there. Then I just routed that on the inside of the rail, tucked it nice and neat. Then it comes over to this T and continues over to the rail. From the T, the purpose of that is to relieve the pressure through the regulator, so that's running down into the bottom of the regulator. Whatever pressure the regulator is set at, the excess fuel is going to come out the side and then go down to the tank. So this is all set up good to go. And then the only other thing I had to do, I had to swap out the back fuel rail bolt. It has these little studs, I guess, for the LSA cover. So I just swapped it out with one of my old coil bolts, just so this could sit sideways and tucked. Otherwise it was like sticking straight up. The reason I went with this T was solely because I kind of bought the wrong regulator. Now this is a an MSD fuel pressure regulator, but what I didn't know at the time is when I bought it, it's meant for MSD EFI like carb retrofit fuel injection systems. So basically what that means is it's pretty much designed solely for that system, and it's not really a universal kind of regulator. It still works, but it would have been a little bit easier if I got like a regular Aeromotive one. And what I mean by that is on a traditional regulator, you're gonna have one inlet source and then 2 outlets. This one's reversed. You have 2 outlets and 1 inlet, meaning the fuel is coming in through the bottom and then it's going out through the top. There's 2 ports here, but this is solely just for like mounting purposes. So if you have this on the other side of the car and you want your return coming out the other end, that's the only reason why they made 2 holes. You can really only utilize 1 on the top. I had to have my fuel source coming in through the bottom here through this T, and then it's going out through, it's getting regulated and going out this way. If I had like a regular Aeromotive kind of regulator, I would just ran the feed over into the side, and it would have came out this way. I would have just 90'd it up and then went straight to the rail. I wouldn't have need this this whole fitting here. I could have returned it and swapped the regulators, but I got this mounted so perfectly, and I got the hole like drilled in the hood and everything is all perfectly lined up. I didn't really want to have to you know, restart over and go with a different regulator. But this works, it looks neat, I'm happy with it. I went ahead and set the pressure to about 60 PSI. So it's kind of just like a really rough base setting. I just played around with it, primed the key until I could get a constant 60 while the pump is priming. Once it's running, it's gonna have to be dialed in a little bit more. Plus I still gotta hook the vacuum line up for when it's actually making boost. But this is all set up, nothing's leaking, fuel system is 100%. So that means next step is going to be putting the belt on, and then we'll be able to start it up.